The Fatal Fury open beta, it's finally here. I've been playing it for a couple of hours, a little more, and I wanted to put my thoughts out there, you know, my first impressions, because I feel like they actually are enough already with the gameplay and everything else. So, if you enjoy fighting game content, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing, leave a comment. What do you think of the Fatal Fury beta? And stay until the end, because we're gonna review the graphics, the aesthetics of the game, the gameplay, the netcode, which has been, the big problem with it, and the matchmaking. So let's actually get into it. Let's, start with the bad things and then go to the good things. So the problem with the beta, it's matchmaking, okay? The matchmaking has been a tremendous problem. People across all regions are having trouble finding matches. In any case you don't know, the beta doesn't have a training mode. You can only play casual matches, ranked matches, room matches, or a tutorial with Rock. You can only try the game in tutorial mode with Rock and learn the mechanics, and I think that's fine. I don't really mind that, like having that type of experience in which you learn a fighting game or you try to have fun with it in a more casual way in which you just play and press some buttons. I think that's completely fine, to be honest. But the problem is that the matchmaking is a tremendous mess. Like, you can't find any matches, and this is happening on Asia, on South America, on North America, on Europe, so it's across all regions. So it's a big problem, and SNK needs to put things together, because this is the type of thing that puts a bad rep into this game right away. People are gonna be afraid to buy this game on launch because they're gonna think that this is gonna happen again, just like it happened with KOF 15, because it was a problem with that game also. So they need to put this together. Hopefully they fix this inside like the 4 days of the beta. It would be huge for the reputation of the game, but if they don't do that, it's going to be bad, okay? In the long term, it's probably gonna have, pretty bad consequences. The least that can happen is that they fix this before the launch of the game. If the game launches, fully, and this is still here, there's still a problem to find matches, the game is dead on launch. I'll tell you right away. It doesn't matter if it's good, if it has good gameplay, it looks good, doesn't matter. The fighting game community is very hard on SNK games, and they have reasons for doing that, and a lot more at least than with Capcom and Bandai, for Tekken. So SNK needs to fix this right now, right away. When it comes to the netcode, the rollback, I play with people with different types of MS, with like 60 or 80 MS, then 150, then like 250, 300. And it was pretty weird, because I was actually able to have matches with the 300 MS people with no problem, like no trouble at all. Some rollbacking, but not that much, But the weird thing is that some people are experimenting that when you have low MS and have actually like a good connection with someone, you still roll back, which is pretty weird, Rollback tends to spike or appear when you have over 100 MS or 150, even depends on the game. But if you have 60 or 80 MS, why the hell are you rollbacking? Why are people teleporting? Like, you're supposed to have a good connection. So that is another weird thing with the beta and the netcode. Now, I assume that this is happening only because of configuration settings. I don't think that this is a problem with the rollback itself. I think that it is a problem with how the rollback has been implemented in terms of settings inside the game. I think that it's very easy to fix. I'm not, like that problematic around it, because I feel like it's going to be an easy fix in comparison to the matchmaking. So hopefully they fix the two things, because it is key. Okay, now let's move into the good things, the positives of this beta. The first positive, of course, is the visuals, man. Like, when you see trailers for this game and you watch people play it and whatever, you look at it and it's like, oh, this game looks good, it has a good art style, but dude, when you play this freaking game on your computer or your console, it looks gorgeous. Like, everything looks incredibly well, like the stages, the characters, the supers. I'm super impressed by the graphics, because it feels like an evolution, of an Ultimate Marvel 3 type of style. And I thought that we would never get something like that again. I thought that we were moving completely, to these 3D realistic graphics like Tekken 8, like SF6. So I'm actually super happy with this. Like, the aesthetic of the game, it's incredibly pleasing, looks super good. All characters in the beta look incredible. Again, the movement, the graphics in action is just completely different playing the game than just seeing it online. Like, it's on another level. I'm super happy with the graphics. They look incredibly cool. And now we move to the most relevant thing in my opinion, which is gameplay. The gameplay of the game, it's great, honestly. I've been playing, as I said, for a little over a couple of hours, and I've been playing Terry because it is the character at the end of the day that I know how to play in many other games, so it's pretty easy to get into in this game and just focus on the system mechanics instead of the character. And the game feels slow at the start because you don't really know what to do. Of course, it's a new game, but when you start using, everything that it is in the game, especially when you start running, because characters can run or dash, depending on which character they are. Terry particularly runs. When you start doing that, the game feels very fast. because you have a lot of movement options to go in. You have the short hops, regular jumps, you have super jumps while running, but you can also just, for example, run grab or run and check with the big button. And buttons are very big, so you don't really need to move a lot to get into a range in which you can press a button. And that makes the game very fast. So in that sense, I know that some people are gonna feel the game slow, but it is not slow, dude. When you actually start using the system mechanics, like, the game gets crazy fast. So in that sense, at least, you know, the big worry that so many people had that the game was gonna be super slow, there's no way that this game is gonna be slow. Like, when you start learning how to play it correctly, or like a little optimally, so to speak, the game is gonna be fast, very fast. Then the other thing that surprised me about the gameplay was that the system mechanics feel a lot more fluid and dynamic than the ones on SF6. And at the end of the day, this game is an answer to SF6. It's very similar to the Third Strike Garou situation, in which Garou was basically a direct answer to the, you know, Capcom developers and to Third Strike, and saying like, hey, this is our version of this modernized gameplay experience. And this is the same situation with SF6. And SF6 is a great game, I like to play it, but there's a lot of moments in which it feels a little boring because it feels bland. You know, the system mechanics are like a double-edged sword, because they are fun, but sometimes they are also so predictable that it makes the game a rock, paper, scissors loop. And you know, when a fighting game is predictable, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, you need some surprises, you need some predictability, you also need some guessing, and that's fine. But on SF6, that feels a little exaggerated sometimes, and I don't really like that. But with this game, it feels the complete opposite. Like, everything feels super fresh, super dynamic, and also feels like the rep system offers you a lot more freedom than what Drive Gauge does. Because Drive Gauge, I love it as a mechanic. I think that it's very fun, but it feels very limiting. You know, Drive Gauge kind of like, it's such a resource management center thing that a lot of the times it feels like you're more playing Drive Gauge the game than actually playing the fighting game. You're more worried about your freaking Drive Gauge than actually interacting with the other guy. In this game, it feels, you know, like the rep system offers more freedom. It feels like it offers less limitations. It feels like you can do more with the VAR, not because it depletes, you know, like slower. I don't mean that. I mean that what you do with it feels like it is more, you know, freedom in many ways. So in that sense, I do like the system mechanics in this game. I feel like they are more dynamic, you know, more fun than the ones on SF6. And I also feel like in many ways they are more diverse, because they offer more situations than the one you have on SF6. And I love that. You know, I love a game that has like a high level of deepness. I love a game that in many ways is not like always the same. You know, I love interactions. I like, you know, playing with the other guy, and very weird things happen, you know, like I like that on fighting games, and it feels like SF6 can't really offer that much. SF6 is a very straightforward game, and it feels like this game is the opposite, so I actually like that a lot. And finally, the other key thing is defense. You can feel, you know, the power of defense right away in this game. Not only this sort of like drive impact copy that the game has, but also like the type of ways in which you can defend yourself are super advanced. And if you get it down, it is pretty obvious that you're gonna get very, very high like reward for playing very good defense. So in that sense, this game is giving us that, and no other fighting game currently does that. So that is very good. So go ahead and try this beta out. I really encourage you to. It's gonna be fun. Hopefully they fix the matchmaking quickly so we can enjoy it even more. And if you like this content, like, subscribe, leave a comment. What do you think of Fatal Fury? And see you on the next one, guys.